These are short rods. This is a white crane weapon that at some point you'll learn. Today I want to share with you one basic, one fundamental, and we're going to link it to another basic that you guys have, actually an empty hand sequence of motion that you have. And we're going to look at how we can get more power in that particular movement. So when I first started learning the short rods, one of my instructors had me do this particular basic for 20 or 30 minutes. So here's what we're going to do. You're going to hold it 2 fingers on sort of the edge, 2 fingers on the handle, okay? So that's your grip. And now we're going to get into, in white crane, we usually drop in a little, and the weapon is here, and now you're going to turn, and then you're going to turn back and forth. And you can extend out a little bit more with the arms. So this would be a block. The weapon stays so that the rods are parallel as you're turning, and the turning is all from the waist. So this is going to be helping us to develop body momentum in terms of rotation for one of our movements. So go ahead, rotate, and then rotate. You don't have to overturn, just enough. We're going to rotate so that we just deflect their attack. We don't want to turn too far because now it's going to be too much effort to come back to counterattack. Okay, so elbows should be in front of you. You are going to try this movement. I'll explain why after, why I'm having you do it with this weapon. These are kind of heavy, aren't they? So there's the secret to part of why we're doing it. Okay, we're turning and turning like this. And then I want you to work on getting speed behind it so you can actually generate pretty incredible speed through the waist. Again, elbows in front of the body. So for this, about 1 fist length or so in front of the body, and then rotate. You're not going to lock them in here. Okay? They're out a little bit, back and forth. So that's the movement. For right now, I think we only have 3 pairs of the short rods. We'll look and see if we have another pair in the back room. I'm going to have you guys get up, and we're going to pass them around and let everybody try that, and then we're going to look at our basics and see how we can apply it to one of your basics or a couple of your basic moves. So there's actually a couple lessons here that I've given you. I told you that when I started this, just this simple move alone was about 20 to 30 minutes. At different heights, we worked blocking different zones, and we worked blocking at some angles, but the first 2 heights, same angle essentially, just alternating height a little bit, were 20 to 30 minutes of the lesson. So what's the first lesson? It's how important your fundamentals are, working those individual movements. Why did I let you do it with the short rods today, this movement? Well, we're going to take what we've learned now, coordinating the waist and our limbs, we're going to apply it to our blocking. Now, why the short rods first? Well, they're kind of heavy, aren't they? And so if you were starting to work a little bit on developing that explosiveness with the short rods in your hand, for one, it was a fun way to introduce you to that concept and drill it. You got to try something different. But 2, it's going to be a lot easier moving your arm without any mass in your hand. Okay, so I'm going to put these down. And here's what we're going to do. Well, actually, we can step back. We can get on guard, and we can initiate it that way, almost like you're doing delayed sword. Step back. And what I'm going to have you do, because you guys are a little more advanced, instead of chamber block, I'm going to have you deliver it from the waist, so it's going to be a thrusting inward block. But as you do that, there comes a point where you want to establish a connection now with your body. But we're going to take it a step further. So let's say we're doing delayed sword, not off a grab. Maybe she's throwing a roundhouse punch, and I'm stepping back, I block, and I'm deflecting it down. But before I get to deliver my kick or before I deliver any follow-up movement, that other hand comes in, and now I block outward. And where's the connection there? Look, all we have to really do is rotate, and you can deliver a lightning fast block if you work on developing lightning fast speed with the rotation of your hips. So we're stepping back. Inward block. I want that waist engaged. I want there to be a strong connection. It's not your body moving separate from your limbs. Yes, there's going to be moments where that's the case, but you need to establish that connection. So on impact, your body is behind that move. And also notice the dropping of the height, solidifying my base. So we step back, block, and then from here, we turn outward block, outward extended. Okay, so we're taking, like I said, this principle now, and we're going to integrate it within this. And you can also just drill that a little, just from your fighting stances. Just go back and forth and see if you can get that explosive power in it. Spread out, guys. We're going to do this together. So again, what we're doing, we're taking what we did with the short rods and we're going to apply it to our blocking. And it's both easier and more difficult, actually, because a lot of times, I'll put these down, a lot of times when we're initiating a block, there is that initial disconnection with the movement. And so we have to establish that connection on impact. It's establishing that connection which is going to give your block incredible impact force, because now you're maximizing that angular momentum. So we'll start, like I said, come forward, you guys. Yeah, that's good. We'll start by stepping back, and you can chamber if you want. It'll work that way too. Some of you guys, it might be a little bit lower. You guys that are higher belts, try to, like a quick draw, deliver it, okay? And drop that height. Get that connection on rotation. And now rotate back. And then from here, this is what's easy. You can practice 1, 2, and you can feel it. And you want to work, like I said, maximize that angular acceleration of your waist. I want you to reach maximum angular velocity, okay? Here, bam. And then here, rotate. And certainly I could rotate out. If we were doing a double punch like I showed you, I could rotate out into a strike. And now, okay, so come to this side. He throws that first punch. Bam. I devastate his arm. I'm dropping my height. I have marriage of gravity. I have that connection between my waist and my arm. I love beating up little people. He throws another punch. I rotate. Again, I have that maximum impact force. Boom. Maybe I chop. Maybe I palm. I don't care. From here, if we're going back into something like shielding hammer, you see you have that same connection again. Now there is going to be a little bit of a disconnect, but that waist initiates the move. It creates a connection there that's going to maximize the momentum of your strike as well. All right, so it's a pretty interesting concept, and it's like most of the concepts and principles that you learn, it's pretty simple. Simple doesn't mean it's easy to apply. It's going to take time to learn and develop. Okay? So again, we step back. We'll do one more time, then you guys can partner up again. Rotate and block. Rotate and block. And then just back and forth. Get used to that feeling. And then start accelerating it. How fast can you accelerate your waist? And certainly at the end, you can start extending the arm a little bit as well. You still have that connection with the body, and now you're just sort of adding a little bit of hyper acceleration to it at the end there to create even a greater impact. Okay, now we have a couple pivot points. The problem mathematically gets more complex, but the principle is still at play.